Raider Nation, good morning and warning. I am so sick and tired of the Pete Carroll Raiders. And coming up here on Overreaction Monday, I'm going to tell you everything that I'm sick and tired about. Now, I know I'm not at the studio. I have not been feeling well, and I'm not going to put the guys at Chat Sports at any risk. So I'm going to be here today and maybe tomorrow until I feel better. I will also get you guys a video later on today once Pete Carroll does talk to the media. I do apologize again for me not being able to go live. I mean it when I say it. You'd have to put me on my deathbed for me not to do this show. But at the same time, I do not feel very good, and I don't want to be around the guys at Chat Sports. But I hope that you guys know that I love being able to make this type of content. And if you want, hit that subscribe button and make sure you're always staying up to date with all things going on around the Las Vegas Raiders. So the first thing that I want to talk about here on Overreaction Monday is Pete Carroll is just so lost, and he's just so clearly guessing. And this one's for Just Win Babies, Believe It Baby. I first want to read you a quote. And again, when I do shows at home, they are a little bit different than what I typically do. It's more of a podcast ramble style. And if you like these types of videos and you want to see more of them, hey man, don't be afraid to give me a like button. So here is what Pete Carroll had to say. Offensively, to have an expectation that we're going to flip-flop and all of a sudden be ripping, we would have liked to seen that. But that didn't happen. And we're a ways away. And it's frickin' December, Pete. But everybody communicated really well. Great job. And we had no problem functioning. All of that in a couple of days' time. That's a nice accomplishment by those guys. We are in the National fucking Football League, Pete. Do you freaking understand that? To say that guys communicated well and to say that that's a nice accomplishment coming off a game where we scored 14 points, where we are ranked dead last in the NFL, 156 total yards, 10 straight losses to the AFC West. I know, Pete, you probably don't give a flying flip about this Raiders team, but I give a flying flip about this Raiders team. And when your head coach has the mentality of whatever the hell that comment is, it literally reminds me of when I was a kid growing up. And again, to me, when I was a kid growing up, my dad was always my coach. My Uncle Wayne was always my coach. And it didn't matter if we were 8, 9, 10. If we showed up, we tried to win. And we tried to win. And, don't get me wrong. When you're young, sports is about having a good time. But why are we talking about professional athletes and acting like they're playing Little League Baseball and everybody's got to get in, everybody's got to have a good time? Does Pete Carroll give out orange slices at halftime just because of how well his guys communicated? It's a joke, and that statement, again, I think is, and I say it all the time, everything that is wrong with the Pete Carroll Raiders, because if you're telling me in a quote, that's a nice accomplishment by those guys, and that game yesterday, what's actually sad is that wasn't even one of the worst games that I've seen the Raiders play this season. I think it was one of their better games over the past 4 games, losing 31-14 to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Pete Carroll Raiders are a joke. So let's keep it moving here, because the other things that I want to show about, being lost, and I think sometimes, there's that old expression, you just throw a whole bunch of, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Yesterday, kind of what the Raiders did, I feel like that they really handled the game almost like a preseason game of some sorts, where, they had Caleb Rogers, Antonio Mafi swapping in and out. You had Kai Blue Kelly, Darian Porter swapping in and out. Jack Besh, Dante Thornton swapping in and out. J.J. Pegues and Lucky Fotu swapping in and out. I don't have a problem if you're going to rotate guys, but at least make the rotations make sense. For you to play one guy a quarter and then another guy not a quarter, I don't think that makes any sense at all. To me, when I watched Darian Porter, he's somebody that I wanted to see play a little bit more reps. And I understand that Kai Blue Kelly had that interception, and it was a hell of a play by Kai Blue. Credit to him. But at the same time, I'm Darian Porter played well, and I want him to continue to play well. Let them go out there and let them battle the ups and the downs. Let these guys get into a rhythm. Let them figure it out, get confidence in themselves. Let them just act like professional football players and figure it out. Play your rookies a little bit more. I don't need to see Lecky Fotu in November 30th with a 2-9 football team. I want to see J.J. Pegues more. I want to see Tonka Hemingway a little bit more. And, I feel bad. Yesterday was Dante Thornton Jr.'s birthday. He suffered a concussion. Obviously, I hope that he's okay. That's somebody that's been very good to me and my team here at Chat Sports. But also at the same time, we can't just keep doing the same bullshit over and over again. Jack Bech is clearly the better receiver and the guy that you drafted in the second round. You'd almost swear that Dante was the guy they drafted in the second and Bech was the guy they drafted in the fourth, right? So to me, they're just throwing shit at the wall, and I think Pete's doing it to make us happy because he's like, oh, okay, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. You're just so clearly lost, Pete, and it's why you need to step down at the end of the season. Another good example here, right? Think about all those rotations, okay? Why not get Charles Grant in the game at right tackle? Because DJ Glaze has been atrocious. And I think one of the biggest reasons why DJ Glaze has been so bad, especially of late, is because Jackson Powers-Johnson isn't playing. And who would have figured JPJ going out of your offensive line and it would make you significantly worse. But to me, DJ Glaze was much better as a rookie than he is in a sophomore year. And I almost want to make a show on how many players I think have regressed this season. Legitimately, Trey Tucker. Somebody give me another name of a player that we're like, all right, this guy maybe has gotten better in this season with Pete Carroll. You can't do it. The amount of guys that have gotten worse and worse and worse with this team, it's disgusting. And it's because, again, of this coaching staff. But, another great example, and I saw this play yesterday, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They're lining Max Crosby up at linebacker. I know Max is an unbelievable player. And, if Max is telling guys that I want to go play linebacker, then shit, man. At this point, let Max do what he wants to do. But I don't think Max is doing that. And if a coach is telling y'all to put Max Crosby at linebacker, that's got to be a red flag, no? That's like Chip Kelly a few weeks ago saying, we're not going to put players in situations that they're not good at or prepared for. And yet, first down and goal, throws a fade to Alex Kappa, right? It's just, they just do shit all the time. But a Super Bowl winning coach with this much experience shouldn't be throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks at this point in the season. Pete said he was learning the roster back in September, and all of us, when we heard Pete say that, we're like, well, wait a minute here, Pete. What the hell were we doing, when you were hired in February all the way through August? To me, you should have already known your team by this time. And yet Pete still is saying that he's trying to figure out what this roster is. That is a major, major issue. But, Pete Carroll's 2-10 record, okay, is the worst start by a Super Bowl winning coach in his first season with a new team since Dick Vermeil in 1997, who was 2-10 with the Rams. They are so lost, and they have been lost since day one. You drafted a running back in round one. Did nothing to boost your offensive line besides put Alex Kappa. Really ruined the confidence of JPJ, who wanted to be a center on your team. You got your Nepo son, who is a horrific offensive line coach, yet you decide to not point the finger at anybody else. You're okay with Geno Smith pointing fingers at his Raider fans, but how do you as an organization, especially an organization or a regime like Pete that wants to run the football, Pete every single flipping week, his number one thing that he wants to do is run the flipping football, and we've been held under 100 rushing yards in 10 games this season. When you drafted Ashton Genty at number 6 overall, when we had 11 draft picks, when we had top 3 money and salary cap space, we're running out of people to blame, and that's why I know Pete Carroll is lost. When you saw the Chip Kelly story, apparently he's calling the wrong plays. But then there's another leak out there that Pete was actually running the shots more than Chip Kelly. When you see this amount of finger pointing, it's because people are lost and people are running out of places to blame. And Pete's not going to blame himself. He's not going to blame his baby back bitch, Geno Smith. And he's not going to blame his Nepo sons either. And it's again, it's everything that is wrong with the Las Vegas Raiders. So I want to know from you all down below, vent your frustrations, because today you're going to get your frustrations from me. All I'm going to do today is vent. All I'm going to do today is talk about why this team drives me insane. And at the end of today's show, hopefully I got a little bit of good news for you. But let me know your frustrations down below, because honestly, on a day like today where I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be here at the house, I can't wait to read what y'all have to say. Because I think when you guys watch a video like this, you're like, this is the type of content that I want, because I'm frustrated. You're frustrated. Let's talk about it, because, I feel like I've done the exact same flipping Overreaction Monday show, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Pete Carroll sucks. Geno Smith sucks. The offensive line sucks. This team sucks. I don't want to keep talking about the same shit every single week, but yet I feel like I have to. And I feel like you guys have to, right? So please, 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 vent your frustrations down below, because I can't wait to read them. I look more forward to seeing what you guys have to say down in the comments more than I have to do with listening to what Pete Carroll has to say. I promise you that. Let's go to the next Overreaction Monday topic that at this point, it's not an overreaction. The Raiders need to move on from Pete Carroll and Geno Smith at the end of the season. Hit the like button if you agree with that. And I say this because Mark, if you're not going to sell the team, Mark, you can't sell your fans on this duo again next season. Fans hate Geno Smith. Fans are sick and tired of Pete Carroll. And you know what's a great example? There were more Chargers fans at SoFi Stadium yesterday than Raiders fans. I've covered this team for a long time. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that. Like, even when the Raiders have been really bad, even with McDaniels, there were way more Raiders fans at SoFi in San Diego. Like, it's never been close. There were more Chargers fans than Raiders fans in Los Angeles. Like, I know we can point the finger a lot at stuff at, like, Allegiant Stadium, and, when you move to Las Vegas, like, that shit's going to happen. But, like, the proof is in the pudding, Mark. Like, fans are sick and tired of this team. And they're sick and tired of Geno. They're sick and tired of Pete Carroll. But more Chargers fans than Raiders fans? I mean, that's like, again, unless you follow this team for a long time, you probably don't think that that's that big of a deal. That's a gigantic deal, right? And, I've had an agent tell me, and I said this yesterday on the show, that there are Raiders players that like playing on the road more than playing at home because of the hostility towards the team right now. And I want to be very clear to a lot of players. The hostility, yes, Raiders fans are frustrated. I want to be very clear on that. But the hostility, I think, is actually more towards Geno and Pete more than the entire Raiders team. Like, that hostility is coming because we're frustrated dealing with all the other shit that we've been dealing with. But, I've had people who claim to be part of Geno Smith's family and send me messages straight up telling me that Geno doesn't want to be a part of this team anymore. Now, that happened a few weeks ago. And if you think that that's a crazy statement to make, well, then I encourage you to look at the body language that Geno Smith has showed you for this entire season. He clearly doesn't want to be here anymore, right? You need to move on from Pete, because we need to upgrade our offensive line. Does anybody here trust Pete Carroll again this offseason? No. Does anybody trust Geno Smith to play good football? And I get that our offensive line has been bad, but Geno Smith also has been terrible. Like, if you're going to tell me his passer rating yesterday, whatever the hell it was, 107.9, it's the worst 107.9 passer rating I've ever seen. 18 of 23 for 165 yards. Dink and dunk. 2 touchdowns to Brock. Thank God Brock's the best tight end on the planet. Making that one-hand snag because that throw Geno Smith made was absolutely atrocious. But, Geno's been sacked 25 times the past 4 weeks. It's funny, and I shouldn't even say it's funny because, again, JPJ's my guy. Last 4 weeks, no JPJ. 25 sacks. It's almost like JPJ was a really good interior offensive lineman. It's almost like JPJ was our best interior offensive lineman. And yet, I bet you Pete Carroll and this coaching staff still wouldn't admit it, that he would be better off playing center with this team. The Raiders have allowed 46 sacks this season, second most in the NFL. You need to move on from Pete, because when you move on from Pete, you're moving on from his Nepo sons, which is going to help out this offensive line, and it's going to get us a better quarterback. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's time to move on from Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and everything that has to do with Pete Carroll in this organization. Because I got the flu today, and I couldn't wait to make this video. I couldn't wait to make this video because I'm just so sick and tired of the Pete Carroll Raiders. Now, today's show is sponsored and brought to you guys by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, and it's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place that makes you feel good to be right, and that's at Prize Picks. And if your fantasy season is already over, maybe your team's cooked, get a lineup in on Prize Picks. Sorry, that's Chuck. Chuck's also fed up with Pete Carroll. I think Alex just got home. But Prize Picks, they offer stacks. They offer a whole bunch of different things. I'm also going to warn you, I feel like I'm going to throw up, so if I got to step out of here real quick, just give me a second or two. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, that's code CLNS, get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's talk about this final thing real quick because I'm going to go yak. The Raiders win another game this season. We'll have a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. For just win, babies. Believe it, baby. Right now, as it stands, the Raiders are the number 4 team in the NFL draft. The Titans have the 1 pick. The Saints have the 2 pick. The Giants have the 3 pick. And again, the Raiders are there at number 4. Here's the thing, though. The Raiders aren't going to win another game for the rest of the season. They're not beating the Broncos. They're not beating the Eagles. They're not beating the Texans. They're not going to beat the Giants. The Giants, I get it, are 2-10. The Giants are light years better than what the Raiders are. And they're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 18. Hang on. But when you talk about those other teams, the Titans, right? Like, I actually had this pulled up. Hang on. Look at the Titans' schedule. The Titans play the Browns. That's a winnable game. The Titans also play the Saints Week 17. The Titans and the Saints are 1-2. One of those teams has to win that game, right? So, that's a positive. Now, I actually think that there is a chance that the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick because the Saints played the Jets. That's a winnable game. The Saints play the Falcons. I don't know if y'all seen them recently. They look terrible. But the Saints' final 3 games, Jets, Titans, Falcons, that's absolutely possible that they win a game. And then when the Giants and the Raiders play, the Giants are going to mollywop the Raiders. And then the Giants also have another game, I believe, on their schedule that's easy. Yeah, they play the Minnesota Vikings. And again, I don't know if they're going to win that game, but right now the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, they look terrible. Bottom line is this. The Raiders aren't going to win another game. They're going to be 2-15. They were eliminated from the playoff contention, and they hold the second longest active drought in the NFL without a playoff win. Their last coming in 2002. 2002. The only team with a longer active drought without a playoff win is the Dolphins in 2000. Sorry, I got to cut this video a little bit short. I feel like I'm going to get sick. Again, I'll get you guys another video a little bit later on today when Pete Carroll takes the podium, but I'm sick and tired of the Pete Carroll Raiders. They're making me sick on the field. They're making me sick off the field. The only thing that's keeping me afloat right now is Raider Nation. And if you made it this far in the video, please give me a real one down below. If you want more content from me, here, hit that subscribe button. I promise you guys, I'm always going to put out videos for you. I'd have to be on my deathbed not to be able to do it. If you enjoyed this video and you want more content, you can watch this video here. You can also watch this video here. I promise you, nobody's going to keep you up to date more than me here on the Raiders Report.